Oh,
and I played more competitively in high school and some in college. And that was kind of what got me started in kind of having a business mentality. As an individual, I can give value to either, a person or a business,
yeah.
as I saw with doing the tennis lessons. And I actually used to tutor for math and accounting too. So
Yeah.
that kind of turned into the most important thing, and I would say, is to see the value in having, say, your financials in order, say monthly or quarterly.
Yeah.
That's the part that I feel like it's the hardest to really realize for a lot of people.
Looking for real stories of real people making a difference in the Grand Canyon State? Welcome to Finding Arizona podcast. We sit down with Arizona's inspiring entrepreneurs, creatives, and community leaders and give you a front row seat to their journeys, passions, and projects. Whether you're a local trying to find a hidden gem or just enjoy watching someone chase their dreams, Finding Arizona is your go-to place for authentic conversations with a desert twist. New episodes drop weekly, so hit subscribe and start exploring Arizona one story at a time. Welcome back, everybody, to the Finding Arizona podcast. I'm your host, Jose, and as always, we bring in special guests every week, and today's no different. I would love to introduce Chris here. Today, we are joined with Chris, who is representing AZ Easy CPA. And this is going to be a tongue twister every time I say this. But Chris is not your typical accountant. He is trusted advisor for business owners and entrepreneurs, helping them navigate taxes, finances, and helping them navigate all of that money strategy, smart strategy with clarity and confidence. With years of experience in simplifying tax financial challenges, Chris has built a reputation for making accounting approachable, practical, and yes, even easy. As at AZ Easy CPA, his mission is simple: to empower clients with the knowledge and tools they need to grow their business, achieve financial peace of mind. We're excited to dive into his journey, his insights, and his expert advice on making the numbers work for you. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you for the introduction, Jose.
Absolutely. It was just fun getting to know, doing your research on you and your background. And before I get into just the typical question, I just found out that you were a tennis instructor. Is this right?
Yeah, that is it's true. I used to play tennis since I was basically like in elementary school,
Oh,
and I played more competitively in high school and some in college, and that was kind of what got me started in kind of having a business mentality, because I would
yeah.
just meet a lot of different people, mostly like parents, so
Okay.
I can, like, teach their kids. So that kind of got me started on, you know, I
Yeah.
can do this too for a different service.
That's awesome. I just, again, it just like in your slew of things that you did, and this one stood out. I was like, wow, that's one part just different, but also one part really cool because it's got a certain set of skills that you have to have that's just different than the financial side. So that stood out to me. I was like, oh, that's really awesome. So I'm now going to
Thank
ask
you.
you the question that we typically ask everyone who comes in through our doors. Give us a little bit of your origin story. How did these things come into your life? How did it all play out to where you end up today?
Yeah, that's a good question. Everything kind of just came together. Well, so even back in, like, you know before high school, I was like
Yeah.
actually in the math Olympics.
Oh, nice.
Basically, it was I've always been into like math
Yeah.
and, understanding numbers and everything like that. And that, along with like in college, I did a degree in accounting and computer information systems, and I just ended up getting a job in accounting first.
Mhm.
And all this kind of came together where I'm like, hey, I enjoy
Yeah.
this industry, and I know it's not as hard as, like, engineering and like statistics. So I'm like, it made it in a way where it's not too crazy in the math, but everything kind of comes naturally now with, understanding how accounting works and like the technical parts
Yeah.
behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like
yeah,
that.
and eventually, yeah.
The reason why we ask this question is to get to know kind of the roots of where you come from and just overall understanding your path and journey into this. And it seems like the numbers have always been a part of you. It's always been an interest for you, and guiding you through whatever it's like schooling and through career choices and things like that. There's always been that semblance of like, I am intrigued by the numbers. I'm intrigued by this type of math work and this type of approach. So I'm kind of
Mhm.
interested in also your family dynamic. Was your parents tax people? Were they financial people? Were they even just numbers people? I'm just kind of curious.
That's funny that you mentioned that. So both of my parents technically were like IT,
Yeah.
more on the computer software engineering side.
Okay.
My mom actually did some taxes on the side, which
Okay.
she didn't have, the background on that. She kind of just, learned that. But funny enough, one of my realizations too was because I had that little decision making, that little crossroads where I was thinking, do I go accounting or do I go computer information systems?
Got
And I was just thinking, I'd rather do something different
it.
than what they're doing or than what my dad is doing, currently.
Yeah.
And that led to that decision. And funny enough, I had forgotten that my basically both my grandparents on my dad's side were in the accounting field.
Okay.
So I so it all kind of makes sense. I didn't want to do the same job or like,
Yeah.
same place as my parents. So
That's
that
so
played a
interesting.
factor.
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting from that standpoint of like a pivotal moment in your life is that deciding factor of like, do I want this career path as similar to
Yeah.
be as my parents? And I was my situation. I've never My parents have always worked kind of jobs that weren't particularly things that they were fond of or just things they were just trying to make ends meet for their kids and trying to survive. And so for me, I had the opportunity to like actually pick my career. And there were some choices and things that my dad wanted from me. Like he essentially like his thing was like, try and pick something in that STEM world. Like that seems to me like something that you'll financially gain from, but also you seem like you're interested in that world.
Yeah.
And so I ultimately went and chose landscape architecture as my degree. And it was
Mm.
because he was like, "Oh, you like architecture, try architecture." And I liked it, but it wasn't a passion. It wasn't something that I kinda connected with. Whereas
Mhm.
the green side, like the green thumb of it all, of like plants, yeah, and things like that for landscape architecture kind of spoke to me a little bit more. And that's where I my
Oh,
decision and making that jump into that degree was ultimately something that I chose for myself. But it's always kind of interesting for me to see where your family comes into, because it's always a big part of your life. It's always going to be a big part of your life. Your family, your
yeah.
parents, your nucleus is always going to have an influence, whether that's for you to stay in that career same as them or something that's like, oh, I wanted nothing to do because they showed me everything that was bad in that world and I didn't want to take that leap and didn't want to have those headaches. But it's kind of interesting that you again had this fork in the road. It's like I could go this way or that way, and you chose this way. So I appreciate you even just giving us a little bit of that insight. And I would love to just ask you for when you chose to become an individual who has a business of their own, was there like an aha moment? Was there something that you were talking to yourself in like a career choice of like, I want to do this on my own? You kind of brought attention to it with the tennis stuff, but was there ultimately a moment in your life where you could look back and say, oh, that moment I chose to go on my own path and make my business what it is?
Um, well, I think everything kind of sparked out of the idea that, like, as an individual, I can give value to either, a person or a business,
Yeah.
as I saw with doing the tennis lessons. And I actually used to tutor for math and accounting too. So
Yeah.
that kind of turned into the easiest way to like explain it on what I do now. I actually still offer accounting training, like QuickBooks training for clients.
Yeah.
So that was like very similar, kind of switching from, you're giving a service to somebody, you're helping them in some way, and then you offer it on and you start a business around it.
Got it.
So And an exact moment that that happened, I mean, guess I remember my first client that I had.
Mhm.
He was he did basically like carpet cleaning,
Okay.
and I remember meeting with him and seeing everything that was going on. And I think in the very beginning, there's just so much information, and you don't have a standardized process about it. But I remember it was stressful, but once I got done with it, I realized, I'm capable to do this. And I feel
Yeah.
like that kind of over time, this kind of happened over and over, and it got easier. And as it got easier, and I felt like I was, mastering it more, that's
Mhm.
when I felt like I became even more passionate about it. And then I started fixing on the parts that maybe I wasn't so good at. Like, for example,
Yeah.
sales. Sales is the part that I'm always trying to learn because it's not like, math comes easily to me, but, like, sales, not really.
Yeah, yeah. That's similar to me. I my challenge is yeah, the sales part, like trying to approach it as a pitch or as an offering. That's something that I'm still working on because I've always been that kind of person where it's like I'm not trying to sell you. I just want to be helpful and I want to I just wanna be that person that's, like, not the salesman, and my brother's the opposite. He can sell to his heart's content, and that's my dad's side of the family is, like, they're very much like, salespeople. So,
That's funny.
I got the artistic, just someone who's just like an artist life. So I do have a couple of questions for you that kind of particularly want our audience to hear. And we
Mhm.
have an audience that are a lot of them are entrepreneurs, people who want to start a business or who are just getting off their feet. And it's really interesting that we've really never had a CPA come in and talk to us. So this is a very intriguing moment. And I know that there are a lot of them that want me to just ask very frequently asked questions that you probably get all the time. So I'm gonna just kind of pitch you some, and I would love to hear your answers from your
Sure.
perspective and how you value certain things. So,
Yeah.
why should an entrepreneur hire a CPA instead of a bookkeeper or a tax prepper?
So, basically, uh, in a way, in the beginning, it's normal to kind of do stuff on your own and trying to figure out like, say, you open your LLC and you do certain things, open your bank account on your own, and it's normal, like I said, to do a lot of stuff on your own. But once things start getting more serious, I think it's very important to have a professional that even just a little bit. Like I wouldn't say that everybody needs like a CPA right in the very beginning as they start, but when they're serious and they start getting their revenue and they want to organize their expenses, then it becomes more important. And and I even say in the beginning, I think it's almost worth having one meeting with a CPA
Yeah,
to ask them all the questions you might have. And I tell them, I'm like, hey, having your books and your financials in order all in front of you, even if it's from the beginning, it's good because you kind of set the foundation for going forward.
yeah,
And
yeah,
the most important thing, and I would say, is to see the value in having, say, your financials in order, say monthly or quarterly.
yeah,
That's the part that I feel like it's the hardest to really realize for a lot of people. Either they get IRS, a huge IRS tax bill, or their partner kind of like takes money out of the business and they don't know. And the idea is that it's very important to just not just have a tax preparer at the end of the year.
mhm,
If you know how you're doing, say on a monthly or quarterly basis,
yeah,
um, that's when you can make decisions. Usually, some of the first decisions is lowering your tax bill, becoming an S corp when you're around that 50, $60,000 in profit, and
mhm,
from there, in general, like if you're serious about your business, that's where there's a lot of benefits, like getting loans from banks, SBA loans, so you can invest in your company, and even when you exit your company, it's very very important to show that you're organized. So
yeah,
I know there's good bookkeepers out there. Like, I mean, I would say even having a bookkeeper over doing it yourself is still good, but having a CPA or even like two CPAs in the sense of somebody with the financial accounting and one person with the taxes, as long as they collaborate with each other,
yeah,
um, I think it's a good way. And you might not be ready right away, but it's something good to have like on your list, like on your to-do list. Like, hey, I need somebody I can depend on or ask questions when I get to certain situations. Cause yeah, there's it's gonna be a lot of stuff at first that you want to learn, but it's always good to have somebody by your side and kind of like kind of accountability partner for the
Yeah.
gym or for your nutrition, like a nutritionist. It's kind of the
Yeah.
same thing for your business, and it's you can start with a little, but in the future, as it's going well, that's when it's you make a decision. Hey, do I want to do the financials by myself,
Yep.
or do I want to give this to somebody else so I can my team and I can focus on
Yeah.
making the money, what we're best at.
And that's where you kind of I think it's really nice that you do the training for the QuickBooks and allowing that service to kind of be an introduction for those who are
Yeah,
just starting out and really you wanna take on the challenge of, like, I wanna try and consolidate as much as I can to by myself, but I still don't understand how this all plays out or how this all works, and one of the things that I find so interesting is you have a slew of different services from that training to accounting and processing, monthly services, and one of the things that we didn't bring up was you help the formation of like the LLCs and the S corp. And so was that something that you were getting at the very beginning? Like what was your like the carpet guy, was he just wanting a monthly accounting service or was he trying to ask for training with the QuickBooks?
funny enough, like he was a bit of almost a bit of everything because like I cleaned up his books. I trained him on how to use QuickBooks for the operational side, like sending invoices, doing checks, like things like that, just how to maintain it, on a daily basis. And then I would give him financials at the end of the month too. So I feel like that was a good example because it showed me the different services I can offer. With the opening of the LLC, I offer that as well. Just I think of it like I help people like train them from when they're getting started all the way to when they're ready for taxes. Basically, when it comes down to the tax filings, that's when I collaborate with a couple different CPAs and they do the tax filings. I'm all about everything until then.
Okay. Sounds good. So another
Thank you.
question that I have is, do CPAs only handle taxes or they can they help you with business strategy as well?
Oh yeah, so most people when they think CPAs or for example when they see my ads, my Google ads, they'll call or for a while everybody's just calling about taxes.
Yeah.
I mean CPAs can do all sorts of things, from the tax filings of course to, tax planning and tax strategy to like financial accounting to
Mhm.
audits. They can represent clients in front of the IRS, so they can almost
Yeah.
be like a lawyer. So there's all sorts of different specifics that they can do. But
Yeah.
yeah, mostly it's the tax filings, but the thing is, like, what I do too, there's some tax planning there. Because for example, by, even, like, even by midway in the year
Yeah.
or, like, 3/4 of the year of the way in the year, you can forecast how you'll do as a business, and by doing that, that's when you go into, like, the S corp strategy.
Mm.
Are you in that gonna be in that threshold where you should consider being an S corp? So that part's really important because if you get your tax filed at the end of the year, I mean, the next year over, you're basically not going to be able to do that. You
Yeah.
technically can, but the IRS could like consider you an LLC as you know, as you think you're an S corp. So the thing is to do it
Mhm.
before the end of the year that you want to be an S corp. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely tax strategy is important.
Well, now you kinda led into what my last question was gonna be. So there's 2 questions I have left, and it's really, I'll go with the last one because it kind of relates to what you're bringing up about the tax season coming up. As we approach Q4, and what should business owners start to prep for the upcoming tax season?
I mean, obviously they're, the documents and um I would say depending on how organized they are, that's where I say it's important to be organized from the beginning. Because
Yeah.
in a perfect world, you have all your business expenses on your, business accounts,
Yeah.
and you have everything there kind of flowing into your QuickBooks or whatever you're using for that. But other times it's especially as you're getting started, or maybe you didn't have a business bank account for a little while, you want to keep track of all your potential business expenses
Yeah.
from your personal accounts. That and in general, having an idea of how you'll do that year, making sure if you were, like, say, an S corp, you want to make sure you're paying yourself a fair salary,
Hmm.
and you can see it both ways. You can see that they might not pay enough. Since they didn't pay enough, they'll pay a little bit more at the end of the year,
Yeah.
or they might have a little bit of extra cash flow coming in based off the forecast, and then they can make, say, a purchase on a vehicle because now it's the 100% depreciation for vehicles over 6,000 pounds. That's back. So
Yeah.
that's something like worth talking to the clients or like thinking about doing as a small business owner. But then there's also the other side where some people they might have paid themselves too much, or if they have a lower year, then the idea you're paying too much in taxes, you'll get it back in a refund. But the best goal is to pay right, not too much, not too little. So
Yeah.
you're like, you have that money to invest it in your business or kind of do whatever you want with it.
Yeah, of course. And then my last question is, how do you know when a CPA is legitimate and licensed? How do you know that information, or how can you find that information out?
Oh, okay. There's a website. There's a CPA directory
Okay.
for each state. I'm
Yeah.
assuming for each state, but for Arizona for sure. So you can look up their last name,
Okay.
and it will show them. It will show you when they became a CPA, how long they're active, that sort of thing.
Nice.
I mean, I would say that's good. And then I would also see if they have a business. Obviously look them up, like on Google,
Yeah.
that sort of thing, and see some of the reviews and things.
Well, again, it's like I approach this as a member of like the entrepreneur and business people who are just starting out, because in particular, I'll just go into my stuff. It's like, yeah, I didn't know a lot in the very beginning of like, separation of your finances from your business. All of that was just overall new to me. And when
Mhm.
I first did my very first tax season with that business, or with the actual like my business, it was daunting. It was confusing, to say the least. It was like overall like just a scary moment, because I like numbers, don't get me wrong. I just the minutia of like the little things, and especially like tax codes changing frequently and every year almost, and
Yeah.
those types of things, like where the threshold is of like trying to reach that bar and like jump over it, or like, like you said, not too much, not too little. It's like it's always ever changing. They move it a lot. And that sort of thing, if you're not up to date or keeping track of that, it can be cumbersome. It can really challenge you as a business owner, because it's like, oh man, it's now Q1 of 2026, and I have to not only run my business but also worry about last year's stuff as well.
Yeah.
And so
And yeah.
I was just curious, from your end as a CPA, it's like, are you dealing with the emotional instability of these owners? Like, how much handholding are you really doing with these owners?
That's a good question. So being on the financial accounting side with, kind of working more on a recurring basis, I like that part because I feel like I get to, check in with the different businesses,
Yeah.
and I try to add some advice and some, hand holding, like you're saying. Even sometimes I see that they need that. I'll give them some information. And actually, I'm kind of going that direction with my business where I want to give more advisory services or like
Nice.
fractional CFO services to like larger companies. But that's kind of my whole the whole motto is, hey,
Yeah.
let's try to check in at least a little bit, have me and my business as your accountability partner for this. That way when you get to the next year, you just, worry about your business. You don't worry about the last year and getting everything together. Um, but yeah, and to be honest, this is also one of the one of the reasons I didn't offer tax services.
Hmm.
Because in a way, I would offer tax services to the clients that I work with, on like during the year.
Yeah.
But then it's tough to say when you work with new clients, and they call you the last month or even close to like the deadline. And then it's hard to say. Everyone says, hey, I have the most simple taxes, just a W-2, very simple. And then it's very true. This is actually what happens. So then you give them the benefit of the doubt. You don't know them, and then next thing you know, it's like they give you everything last minute, and then they expect you to do it. So I didn't figure out that business plan for myself. I just figured, And also the changes in the tax code, like you were saying,
Hmm.
it's less logical. It's the financial accounting is more logical, more like math. So that part and the recurring part of it is what kind of what interests me versus just doing it once based off a tax code, you know? So
Yeah.
that's why I collaborate for that portion. But like I said in the beginning, having an accountability coach for different things is what's worked for me. So I feel like it's good to have somebody on the financial accounting that helps you throughout the year. Even if it's just once a quarter, even if it is towards the end of the year once, it's better than just waiting till the next year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me especially, I'm trying to do it once a quarter. Um,
That's good.
because um, ours is pretty standard recurring expenses and things like that. And so for me, I just like to have a routine check-in just so that I'm on the right track, if especially if there's, let's say, a sudden change where it's like we've increased our revenue and just clients or whatever. It's good to make sure you're updating, when that happens, because if, let's say, it either goes back down or even jumps even higher again, you have a kind of threat, you know where that middle section is of, like, this is where you were from the very beginning, and then this is where that midpoint was, and whether that goes up and down, you can kind of, determine, like you said, what's to come for the future and what you're going to pay in those taxes. Um,
Yeah.
some of the things we bring up, and we're using a lot of abbreviations, CPA, you brought up CFO. And one of the things I was hoping to ask you, I don't know if you can answer this, but what's the difference between the CPA and a CFA, which is a chartered financial analyst, and a CMA, which is a certified management accountant?
Okay. So I would say basically it depends on so the CPA I would say is the expert of the accounting
Mhm.
and the accounting being what's happened in the past,
Yeah.
usually, an accounting period in the past. Or I mean or it might be something operational where, they did what happened yesterday or that sort of things in the
Yeah.
past.
Yeah.
The other one would be more in the future,
Got it.
like how to basically how to use this accounting data to kind of forecast things in the future.
Mhm.
And then the CMA I'm not super familiar with, but I think that's more
That's
on
fine.
the larger companies where they have more managerial accounting. So it's like accounting that goes based off like metrics that help the company as a whole. That's
Okay.
not necessarily metrics that go to the IRS. So
Got
it's
it.
more like managerial accounting.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, thank you for clarifying that, because again, there are things that some people might know and some people might not know. And using abbreviations is always faster, but sometimes just to slow it down and help the audience digest a lot of this stuff can really just overall help us negate having to worry about, because it's like, CMA or something like that, where it's like the future stuff, you wouldn't have to worry about too much until you're kind of really like in that, you know, uh multi-figure amount of revenue of, like, things are really going well, and now you've got probably 20 plus employees, sort of thing, where it's like you probably now start to want to integrate that into your systems.
Yeah, that's true, but I think in general, even when you're first getting started, and like I'll ask clients this all the time. I'll be
Mhm.
like, "Look, what's your like? How would what would you define as your success? Like, how when your
Yeah.
business is successful, what is it? Is it like the revenue?
Mhm.
Is it like how you're making that revenue in terms of like how much are you in the business, or are you in the business less and you have more time with your family, or say you're flexible, for example, like me, I can work remotely from different places. Is what are your goals with it? Because it's important to know it from the beginning, so then you can get to that level. And there's times where you might change your overall goal, but like, what would what would you define as a success for your company? So that would be more. That's I'm more on the finance side, right? Because
Yep.
we're thinking in the future. So it's good to have a little bit of both, but yeah,
Yeah.
it gets more important as you grow for sure.
So my particular joy out of this podcast is kind of going into the minutia of your everyday, like your services and kind of what you do in particular, how you go about your week. Um,
Mhm.
give us one insight. I mean, what are some non-negotiables for you as you're starting out, or it's just like your overall week? Like, are you in the gym a lot, or like what helps you keep balance with your work as well? So it's like outside of just doing the work. I would love to like, are you a big reader? Are you big? Do you still tennis a lot? Like, I would love to kind of get that overall sense of like outside of just work and trying to keep up with, the tax codes and stuff like that, what are the types of things that are you that keep you balanced and keep you motivated for your business?
Yeah. Oh, I would say like throughout the week, I try to have something like a workout or something for cardio. Like for example, like I play pickleball, I play tennis, I
Nice.
play soccer, I play some volleyball and basketball. So the point of it is, and like with with working out for me, for example, I enjoy it like in the moment and when I'm done. But before I'm not like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go work out. But I know it's good for me and I know
Yeah.
it's good for my brain. So I do that. But then the sports are more like they're exciting to even go and do. And then I feel like you kind of you yeah, you focus on something else and you get kind of competitive. And I feel like that helps you in a way with like in a way with your business, because I think at least for me with my business, there's definitely portions of it where it feels like competitive in terms of almost like me competing against myself, or looking at my financials and looking at how it is compared to the year before and things like that, where I think all this kind of comes together, even though they're totally different things. One's you're working out you're like physical, but also there's a lot of mental components in doing the sports. So definitely I'd like to do that. And then I travel a good amount. I'm actually in Romania right now visiting
Oh,
a
very
family.
cool.
Yeah, thank you. Because yeah.
I was gonna say, I heard a little bit of an accent, like, there's a little tinge, like, still there, but I'm like, your English is extraordinary, but it's like, I heard a little bit, and I was like, I couldn't put my finger on it. I was gonna guess,
What do
like,
guys?
I was gonna guess Spanish, like, from Spain, like, that's what I thought it was, but now that you brought Romania up, that's really beautiful that
That's funny.
you're home with family. That's really great.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, I think my accent might be more because I lived in Montreal too, where they speak French, and then
Yes.
I was speaking French as a child, and then I learned English, and I kind of forgot French. So I think it might be something like that, because
Okay, yes.
I know my family has a little
Makes
bit
more
more of
sense.
the
Yeah.
thicker like Eastern European accent.
Well,
But
that's
yeah.
wonderful. That's wonderful that also you get that opportunity to travel and have that time with your family because again, I go back to this world of like in the storytelling world for me, the the origin stories are so beautiful because they really do kind of show what the hero is going through, but what motivates them, what's their foundation, what are the things that they were taught at a younger age that they've taken into their adulthood, and the fact that you go out and you still like again be able to spend time with your family because they are so far away. It's just one of those things. It's like for some, it's difficult to travel that much or just to find time to do that. But it's like the fact that you do it and you're there and you're doing this with along with me. It's like you're a man who not only takes great pride in your business, but also really want to show and care for those that have loved you and cared for you when you were younger.
Thank you. I appreciate the kind words.
Yeah, absolutely. So, towards the end of our conversation, we kind of orient everything towards the goal setting in the future. I would love to just get your really quickly your understanding for this next upcoming 2026 tax season. The ultimate thing is you want to give the best work for your clients. What are some of the what are some of the things that you're concerned about, or what are some of the things that you're excited about for this tax season coming up?
Um, I guess I'm a little bit I guess concerned about that. like small business clients might not know some of the tax code changes. And for example, if they're looking, for example, to buy equipment or buy a truck, because it makes sense for their business,
Yeah.
they should probably make this decision before, like definitely do it before the end of the year.
Yeah.
And that's something that can't really be changed. And same with the S corp election. That's another one. That one, you like I said, you can. It's better to think about it. Do it in the year that you want it done for. On the other side, on the other hand, I think it's exciting to see all the new clients that I'm going to work with and see how many people we can help. And there's also, when you have the momentum, and the tax season to me is like actually exciting to do. I know
Yeah.
for a lot of people it's not, but I think because I don't work so much with the taxes, more with, like I said, the financial accounting,
Mhm.
it's exciting to see all the people that I work with, and also to see how will my marketing work, because now I see
Yeah.
my business showing up a lot higher, like a lot higher in my city in Chandler.
Yeah.
And I want to see if there's actually results from that, because
Yeah.
right now it's a little in the off season where I'm getting leads, I'm getting calls, but people are kind of on the fence. They're not ready. It hasn't hit them yet that
Yeah.
we're getting close.
Well, no, it's like I hope that from our listeners, they will go ahead and take the opportunity to at least check in, or want to take the opportunity to check in with you or someone that is a CPA, or someone who will be able to help them for that. Because ultimately, I just want to see small business succeed and grow. I think Arizona in particular is one of a unique place to have a small business at and work from. Um, I always say that we're a growing city. Chandler's a growing city, along with Phoenix and all the other outskirt cities. We grow together, and to want to see more people build their businesses and keep them alive is something that I look and strive for. Because that's what ultimately feeds us as well, because, all those stories that we've collected throughout the years are all small businesses, essentially. We've had a couple of bigger, corporations, but ultimately, I find joy and passion from hearing those who had an idea, are starting out and wanting to grow it and wanting to succeed and keep their business alive, and having someone like you who essentially is trying their best to motivate them and keep them going, and provide services so that it will allow them to succeed, is essentially my gift to them. It's like, hey, meet Chris.
Mhm.
Chris is going to help you out, and hopefully you'll either go to Chris or try and find someone like Chris, that will help you keep your business going. Excitement for you, you brought up how, seeing them and having them grow from your marketing. Is there ultimately a goal for you, because we did bring up, like, business goals for AZ Easy CPA? Is there an ultimate thing for you? Is there something that is, like, high in the sky that you've thought about that you want to achieve for this?
Yeah, well, I think ultimately, growing the business revenue wise and making it so it's still, sustainable and it works well. I mean, that's always gonna be the goal, but making I want to be able to grow it organically in a way that it doesn't mean like more stress,
Mhm.
or losing the lack, like having a lack of bandwidth in the business.
Yeah.
So I'm almost cool with it going, like, growing slower than growing faster,
Yeah.
because that way I can have everything work almost without me, having me kind of do the finishing
Yeah.
touches, and maybe be the client facing part of the business,
Yeah.
but also having enough bandwidth to kind of, plan what's good, what's the next phase. And the next phase in general is I want to be able to focus more on the advisory and fractional CFO side. And in general, to I want to be able to give advice even to clients just on the monthly accounting or quarterly accounting. I want to be able to actually help them with the information from their financials. And
Yes.
the best way to do that is to have the time to do that, and to have the recurring stuff, the dated, like month to month stuff
Yeah.
be done well while I can focus on like the next steps and giving more value to the small business owners.
That's perfect. I think that's one of the best ways to conclude our conversation. I really do appreciate the amount of care that you want to see out of each of your clients and the amount of care that you actually want to give back to them. And I think that's so beautiful because ultimately, like that's what I am is like I'm a big cheerleader for everyone that comes in our door. So now I'm a cheerleader for you, Chris, because knowing your story and knowing who you are, it's really incredible. I really before we go, because you brought up like going from I imagine that your family is from Romania and then you went to Canada and then how did you end up in Arizona?
Yeah, well, my dad moved with his job, and
Okay.
we've been in Arizona most of my life. And I
Wow.
actually
Wow.
I tell this to a lot of people, but I really love Arizona overall, and I travel a good amount, and I could live here in Romania if I wanted to, or for
Yeah.
extended periods. But there's like Arizona definitely has a place in my heart, and I like
Awesome.
a lot of the things and kind of seeing it grow as I was growing up. So yeah.
I love that. That means a lot to me because again, I'm Native American, so my tribe is in Arizona, and so I spent a
Mm,
lot of my
nice.
time, growing up in the state, and just I have just an ultimate passion for this, and it's kind of what roots me here and keeps me here. Uh, but again, to find another soul like you that is just as much of a person who is affected by that environment and by that landscape, it's so nice because ultimately it's people like you who make the city, the state a good place to work in, be in, and thrive in. So I appreciate you, Chris. Even just talking with me and being here today has been really helpful. I hope to see you in person when you come back from your time there with your family. But also, I would love to take an opportunity to maybe even ask you a few more questions about my business. Just to meet you in person and chat you a
Yeah,
little bit more. That would be awesome.
that would be great. That would be great.
Awesome. So before we go, now's the chance to promote the business and tell everyone where they can find you online. If you have any numbers or emails that you want to give out so that the audience can reach out in person, the floor is yours, Chris. Take it away.
Awesome. Well, the best way to reach me is probably either email, which is Chris at AZEASY CPA. So Chris at AZEasyCPA.com. Um, that's probably for longer questions, but you can always call me or text me at a 480-747-3935. And you can add me at LinkedIn also. It's Chris Badulescu, Badulescu. And I have a lot of content there. We try to post like basically every day
Nice.
and have like tips and just things for small business owners. And yeah, I would say those are the main ways to reach out to us.
Perfect. I love everything about that. That worked very beautifully. I think that's so great. And I look forward to just again seeing you in person. Now it's my turn to do the little bit of the outro. You can hear every episode of our podcast at findingarizonapodcast.com. All social media is under Finding Arizona Podcast. Look us up, like us, subscribe. It would be really greatly appreciated on my end. But before we go, we end every conversation with the kisses, hugs, and belly rubs to our four-legged friends, and we will see you next time. Bye, y'all.